Everybody, and a very warm welcome back to my channel. Now today it's going to be my very first adventure in 2025 in Clarabelle to go and do a plein air. Now I know a few weeks ago when I went with my family to a place called Sandling Park where they let me off to go and do a little plein air, and I did one in K-Scene for you, but this is going to be the very first one of the year. I know it's pretty late in the year already, we're into April, but it's the first chance I've got to set up, get Clarabelle organised, and let's get out and do a plein air. And I'm going to go back to Sandling Park, not the same exact place that I went to before. We're going to pick somewhere else, and I want to do an oil plein air for you. Moreover, I did promise you the other week when I did that review on the KraftGeek Easel, when I absolutely gushed over it in the studio in that setting, I said I would take it out, put it through its paces doing a plein air, and see if I still felt the same way about it. I hope I do. And at this stage in the video, I have no idea. I'm still sitting in my van talking to you guys, getting set to depart for Sandling Park. So that's where we're going to go. I'm going to do the painting. Hope you enjoy that. Stick with it, and I'll give you my final thoughts and see if I'm still as impressed with it or that KraftGeek Easel as I was a couple of weeks ago. So join me then, and let's see how we get on. Catch you soon. It's a lovely park, especially when on days when it's not school holidays, when it's nice, peaceful and quiet, very tranquil. Lovely afternoon of shadows. Now, I wanted to just talk while I'm walking. Now I'll do it when I get the other end. So I was here, there was a lot of water running down this gully, and I was looking at it from the top, how the difference that a month or so has made to the water. I came ready prepared for being cold, but down here, down in the valley and high, down in with the steeper walls around, I feel that it's not such a bad thing. It's really quite warm and very pleasant. So hopefully my plein air experience today will be a warm one. We shall see. Now the rest of our walk to the point wherever we decide to stop painting will be punctuated with lots of sights of the creek coming down. I think some people call them creeks. I don't know what you call it really, but it is just a very beautiful set of water coming down through the hillside to end up down in the sea. The last thing I want to do is end up in the water. That's all that's left of that lovely tree. As I say, when my son was young, probably this is over 25 years ago. No, not that long. What am I? Okay, so there's what's left of that magnificent specimen, just like the one I've just been showing you. My son was probably about 6, 7 years old. And that was probably 19, 20 years ago when that came over, and yeah, that's all that's left. I quite like those May blossom on those trees over there, showing their lovely white flowers. I love this stand of 3 trees here, but I also like this closer stand of gorse and dayberry and the cutting in the field. So what I'm going to do is probably rearrange things and make it fit my compositional ideas. So I want to get that in, I want to get some of that in, and a bit of that in. Let's see if we can make that happen. Hi guys, and a warm welcome back. Well, finally, after all this walking around, I found somewhere that is nice, peaceful and quiet that I can paint a picture. Sadly, I couldn't make it a watery scene. There were too many people around the area enjoying the water cascading down the hillside. So I had to find somewhere else, and I think I've done well. I think I've got this lovely group of trees, a little bit of a bush over there, and some lovely mayflower blossom to one side. Nice little bit of cool shadow running across it if I'm quick enough. So that's what I'm going to do. And I also said that I'm going to show you all about the KraftGeek easel and use it as a plein air easel and tripod and just see how it performs and see what I think about it. So here it is. Now, I was going to say a pun then, straight out of the bag. Well, yeah. So this is the first thing I think that this lovely easel should actually have as an option. I think that the people at KraftGeek, maybe they could take note and provide you with an optional bag to carry this in and keep it nice and clean and safe. And I happen to have lots of old tripods, and one of them is an old Velbron, and the bag absolutely fitted the thing to a T. So there you go. It was the right length, it was the right width, and it just worked straight out of the bag. Sorry about that. They don't get any better with age. But there we go. So there's the KraftGeek, and I'm going to set this one up just the same as I did back in the studio last time out. And I'm going to set it to fully extend the legs, tighten them off, twist them. Very, very simple to do. But you saw me do all this last time, so there's no need to repeat that. Okay, I'm going to put that to there. Now, unfortunately, the area that I need to film is that way. The light is this way, so if I film this way, I'm going to be a little bit awkward. I'm going to see how I get on with that. I may have to reposition this a little bit. So I'm going to put this away so I don't lose it in the wind. And I'm going to get the second thing out that I have created. Now, if you remember last time, I was looking at making a little contraption here that I could raise the level of my artwork to paint on when I'm outside. It is doable here, but it does mean to say that you've got to stand back and work at this sort of angle, which is nothing wrong with that. However, if you're one of these people that work very close to, then you may find that a bit of an issue. So I designed, well, at least I didn't design, I had the idea from a previous setup that I used of creating something. Now I'm going to reposition the camera so that you can see it a little bit more detail. Okay, so the KraftGeek is up, and the item that I've made is a variation on the one that you saw me use in the gallery last week or the week before. Now, this is just a newer adaptation, and I've used much lighter material to make it happen. And at the same time, I've had to think about the construction, the design, and how it might be useful. For instance, I have an area here that I hope to sit a palette, so that when I'm painting, I don't have to hold a palette. I can have this one fixed to this at an angle, and it will sit just inside these two spaces on here, and that will work very, very well. And it's got this little extra here just to reinforce and help that angle stay put. Also, that extra little bit in here means to say it takes up this gap a little better and stops it moving around too much in that great big area that would normally be occupied by a big canvas. So that to me is a win. I did work it all out. I've had to cut a couple of times to get it right, and I thought about this a lot, because the one thing that people are going to say, well, I don't happen to have a laser engraver to hand to do what you've done. And that's a fair point. You don't, maybe. Or you do, maybe. However, I don't see any reason why you couldn't use very stiff cardboard, grey board. Maybe you can thicken it up a little bit and make it stronger. And you can cut your own sections out here and here to do a very similar job. You don't necessarily need the high-tech laser engraver to create the same product. I simply have one, and I felt it makes good sense to use it. Both of these pieces here are joined. The laser bed is only 400 millimeters long, so I had to extend it by about another 80 here, and in doing that I needed to brace this back piece, so a bigger piece here was inserted and glued to the whole thing to make it a rigid lump. So the idea now, as long as I haven't forgotten anything, is to put the panel on. So the panels I like to use are my 9 by 12 panels, of which I've got 4 here. I'm going to sit that on there, and that will go for the painting. And I also need to find my brushes and all my other equipment, so it's going to be a little while. That's my easel. This is just a simple piece of grey perspex. It's actually an offcut from a larger easel that I made a long time ago. Right, so this is the little piece of wedge that I put in here, and that will stop this falling apart when I'm working. I've also made another one that I can put an 8 by 10 in if I want to. So I have 2 options when I'm out painting. They are generally the 2 sizes that I use, so there seems to be little point in making more only to carry around that extra weight. There's no point in that at all. Clips and my paintbrush holder. So again, I spent a little time thinking of how I can employ some of this stuff, and if I got this right, I can put my brush holder on there. That keeps my brushes happy, and so that's good. I'm going to select a few brushes, a nice dagger, a little bit of a larger brush to do a bit of work with. But they will sit in there. Oh, there are the clips that I was looking for. Hopefully that is just going to keep my palette in place. So there is my pot of Gamsol ready to go. Let's put that out the way. Hopefully that will stay. That's a bit of an oil slick. Let's hope the next colour is not as bad. We're going to go, so that's raw umber. We're going to put in some sienna. And the extra weight in this bag will help stabilize the tripod and keep it where I want it. So it has got a lovely hook arrangement on the back here. We're going to put that on there. Okay, so finally I think we are set up, ready to do some painting. At least I hope so. What I'm going to do to start with though is I'm going to mix a little bit of umber and sienna together to create an imprimatura coat on this. I do like to work off of a mid-tone, so we're going to get this one underway. They're going to use some of that paint out and get rid of that. You can see that in principle the apparatus works very, very well. The only caveat to that would be the fact that you need to make sure your board is a flat board. If there's a bow in it, it's not going to work too well, so you may need to sort of just be careful when you're storing your boards that they don't suddenly bend on you and bow. I found a couple in my collection of boards that were doing just that, and were going to cause a bit of an issue. Move that down. So I had to go back to the studio and just find a couple of boards that were pretty much flat. But for mixing, this is fine. You could create, and I might think about creating a platform that sits on these legs so that it comes out as a flat tray, and I think that would be the future answer to this. What I thought here with this apparatus was a bit cobbled together last minute. In fact, as last minute as this morning before I came out to paint. And yeah, so I maybe need to go back to that drawing board and start again and come up with a slightly different apparatus. But in principle, this whole thing does work. And we're going to end up with a stained board. Now, if this is a gesso board, so the more I buff it, the more I will take off. If it was an old-fashioned, what I call old-fashioned style gesso panel, then that would be stained a lot heavier than this one actually is. But there we go. All right, let's get on. So I'm going to clean off this, bit messy. With a small palette like this, you don't have a lot of luxury to be too messy with your colors. You'll soon run out of room if you're not too careful with what you're up to. I'm going to use a small flat, and this is an evergreen from Rosemary & Company. All my brushes are Rosemary & Company, as you well know. So I'm looking over there, and this is fine because I've got the light in front of me. I got my cap on, so I've got a sort of a visor keeping the sun out of my eyes, and I just want to look at drawing the hill. Now we've got a hillside here. I'm going to bring that up through here. The KraftGeek is operating as I had hoped it would. I've got to say, it is a nice unit, and it is working well. However, there are a few things to think about when you want to take this out in the field, such as how do you use your paint? Do you hold a palette and your brushes in your hand throughout the whole operation, or do you come up with a mechanism here, like a little platform you can put there, which I will do. I'll try and make that happen, and then you can make other choices when it comes to your mixing and brush holding. I think this idea is perfectly good. Right, let's come in, and we're going to come in with some bluish sky. There you go. I think that's where I'm going to leave the sky for the moment, and I'm going to use a lot of this blue to mix up with some yellows. We're going to come in first and foremost with some cadmium yellow. We're going to mix that with our blue in the form of ultramarine, and we're going to test that as a color. It's quite a nice color. We're going to add to it though. I always say that add a little bit of red to your green when you're painting natural greens. It takes it out of its full chroma. You start to control the green a little more, and I'm just trying to make that color set up, and I think that's quite a nice color overall. There's a bit of a bank up the back there. I'll put that in. And now I'm going to come in with some darker green values that are in this bush in the foreground. This is where my strongest darks will be in here, but you can also see into them, so they're not necessarily going to be a black. They're going to be dark, deeper green colors that, you know, because they're closer, I can see information in them. So it is dark, but there's lots of mid-tones. There are lots of light tones, and although the sun has gone off it mostly, there's still enough to show me where those lights were originally, and we can put those back in. So that's our little bit of scrub bush here, and there is a dark shadow coming off of that. Making a very, very warm color. Going to tap in just a little bit of red the merest tint, not like I did just now. It's way too much already. Just want to make a really peachy white, a really loud white that I can just put on as our May blossom. Gotta be careful, you overwork it and you'll end up with green May blossom. It's not what I'm looking for. I just want that lovely suggestion of the May bush. And I might just put something, do I? Yeah, why not? Let's put some there. All right, so now with that done, I'm gonna come over here. Ice cream man, here's tradition. That's a way away, that's about a mile away. All right, I'm going to come in with a little bit of a violet, a little bit of ultramarine blue to that mix of the pink, and I just want to address the shadowy side of the May bush. So a little bit more blue, a little bit of the cool quinacridone rose, to that a tap of lemon, just to knock the blue and the rose out of the pure violet colour. And I just want to come in here now and put in the shade part of those trees, those bushes, the beautiful May blossom. Gotta say, I really am enjoying this painting. It's a time when you go through a painting and it's such an ugly painting, you think, should I keep on with this or should I just give up and go somewhere else and start again? And I think every artist, when you're painting anything, whether it's plein air, whether or not it's in the comfort of your own studio, doesn't matter really. I think each of us get to a point in a painting we think, oh really, should we carry this on? And you've got to stop that. You've got to work through that pain barrier, that area of time when the painting is just in its real ugly stage. It will go beyond it. You've just got to give it the chance to do that, and it will. It'll get there. I'm going to bring up a little bit of light and dark through the back here. Okay, now what I might just do is use the dagger and maybe just a bit of warmth, a little bit of umber, just take a bit of dry brush and just sort of suggest that there are lots of branches out there by just playing around here and just breaking up what you're seeing. Just the odd, there's a lot of, I don't know what they are, I don't know if they're the rhizomes of future, I'm guessing there are tons of them all over the field. Are they ferns? I will take a photograph, and I think there are thousands of them. I mean literally, they're just everywhere. You've got to be careful where you walk in places. There are just so many of these things. And they're adding a nice little bit of a burnt warmth feel to the scene, so I'm going to put a few of those in, just suggesting them. Cold feeling right now. I think it's going to be called finished. I'm going to put a signature there. Okay, there you go, one painting of the scene over there behind me. I'm freezing cold, I've got to say, and I can't wait to get back to the warmth of my van. But my final thoughts on using the KraftGeek Easel for plein air. Now, as some people have already pointed out, to use this easel for watercolor is pretty much not going to happen, because you are almost on the upright, and of course with watercolors we need a much less of a slant to work on. So I think it rules itself out for watercolor painters, and I think you could always argue that point, that it doesn't work that well for watercolor in the studio either. But for everything else, acrylic and oil and even pastel, gouache and other things like that, it does lend itself to be used. Now, would I use it in the field again? Well, I've got to say that possibly not. The reasons being that perhaps it's because I've been doing it for so long, I've got used to my ways, I've got used to my pochades, and I know where my paint is, my easel sits, my brushes are, and I just bring it out in my bag, set it up, and off I go. I try to look at painting just on what is provided with a bigger canvas, and I don't normally work that big, so I like working on 9 by 12 or 10 by 8, and the only way I could do that on this apparatus is to make this contraption. Does that contraption work? Well, in theory it should do. I have got to make a few changes to that, and I think I need to make something here as a ledge that I can put my palette on. This is just too precarious and it didn't work out too well. Plus the fact I need to find something that I can transport a working palette to and from the scene without losing all the paint on it and making an absolute mess. So it's not as practical as some pochades can be. So yeah, is it lighter to carry around? Of course it is. It's much lighter than using a heavy tripod to carry and all the other pochade apparatus that sits on top. So there is quite a bit of weight difference. Having said that, this actually weighs quite a bit already, so the differences are becoming a little narrower. So I don't know what to say really. I love it. I think it's a fantastic piece of kit. I think that it's well engineered and it works well right out of the box. It really does. I think I will probably confine mine to use in my studio. I have been using it for the last week or so in my gallery, and I have enjoyed the using of it. I think it's a fantastic bit of kit. It takes up so much less space in my gallery that I can enjoy putting it up, taking it down at the end of the week and doing whatever I want to do. So from that point of view, it's great. So if you've got an issue of space in your home where you paint, then this is your kitty. It really does work, and that's fantastic. But you do need to have some apparatus, maybe a bit bigger than this. Maybe you just tape your panel to it, or you just work on canvas. It will work fine from that point of view. But as for an outside piece of kit, well, I don't know. I've proven that you can. It wasn't easy, but I've proven that you can. If you change this apparatus to something that's a bit better thought out, and bearing in mind I only threw an afternoon at it yesterday afternoon and early this morning to cut bits out and get it all glued together and working, I think it needs a bit more thought. But that said, it wasn't an unpleasant experience. I liked it. Certainly the working height is fantastic. It really does, as long as you can get it up off that base level. And but will I use this again in the field? I don't know. It's something I think I will carry in Clarabelle should something go wrong with one of my other setups, and I'm therefore not left in the lurch, and I've always got this as a backup. But principally I think that this KraftGeek will be used in my gallery or my studio there, that I can carry on painting on with ease. And I think from that it's a win-win. So that's my last word on this. Next time you see me, I'll probably be going back to my old kit, but that's got nothing to do with the quality of the KraftGeek. It is a fantastic piece of kit. So if you've enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed the painting, if you've enjoyed what I've said and you've got something from it and you feel that I've earned your subscription, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help it out, helps it grow. And if you want to help out a little bit more, you want to provide a little bit of funds that goes into making all of this, even from the car park getting here and all these things, then super chats or buy me a coffee are a great way to support me moving forward. And every penny that I get that way always goes into making more videos for you to enjoy for free. So that would be great. And if you want even more from me, don't forget I have 2 schools on school.com. One is free, one is paid. One is landscape and wildlife, where you pay for that, but you get so many full-length videos, lots of instruction, great community, and you get a weekly live stream each and every. So a couple of crows took off there and took my gaze away. But you get a weekly live stream each and every week, unless I was sadly ill for some reason. But then you get so much, and it only costs you $15 a month. And if in fact you join for a year, it's only $150 for the whole year. So you get 2 free months as well. So a lot there. There's also the free one. If you don't want to pay out and get the full amount of instruction that I can offer you, then by all means join the free school. There's a lot going on there too, and a great community that are growing. So I'd love to see you there. Check it out. All the details to this, buy me a coffee, my schools, everything are always in the show more tab underneath this and other videos, and I can't compete with the ice cream van. But there you go. Until the next time, people, enjoy your painting, have fun. If you've got one of these or getting one of these, enjoy. I know you will, and I'm enjoying mine so far. So yeah, catch you all in the next video. Take care everybody, happy painting, see you soon, stay safe, bye bye.